The Super Bowl has come and gone, and with it, a new crop of ads, including, as it turns out, a huge number for AI companies. So just how effective were these ads in changing Americans' perception of AI? Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Today we are talking about the AI ads in the Super Bowl, but the reason that this is deserving of an entire main episode is that ultimately this isn't really a show about advertising. Instead, it is a show about public perception and what, if anything, this advertising did to change that. The context coming in is a fairly significant antipathy among the average Americans towards AI. A few weeks ago, the New York Times published a piece called "Why Do Americans Hate AI?" And unfortunately, this isn't just media bluster. To run through just some of the recent statistics around American perceptions of AI, according to an Edelman study, only 32% trust it. A Pew study found 59% have little or no confidence that companies will develop AI responsibly. Also from Pew, 52% are more concerned than excited about AI versus only 10% who are more excited than concerned. Gallup found that 73% expect AI will cause net job loss. And Searchlight found that 51% think AI will replace, not supplement, human work. That, of course, sets up these Super Bowl ads for a very different task than other advertisers. The Washington Post got at this question with their piece, "Can these Super Bowl ads make Americans love something that they don't like?" Now, of course, there was always going to be some portion of people who are going to write this off as the latest example of a bubble and not actually spend any time engaging with this at all. However, I continue to believe that while Americans are at this point negatively inclined towards AI, for the vast majority, this is not some hardened principled position. This is people rightly understanding that these tools are powerful, and indeed powerful enough that there could be negative implications that they're not sure about. They're commenting from a place of larger economic anxiety that isn't just about AI, but which AI feeds into. They're being asked in a divisive landscape that wants extreme opinions, and one which tends to drown out the vast majority of middle voices who are just trying to figure things out. So the question is, how did these ads do with that set of middle voices? Not the people determined to hate AI, and not the people who are already sold on it, but the group which I consider the vast majority who are still trying to figure out what it's going to mean for them. By Adweek's calculations, 23% of the ads were either for AI companies or highlighted the way that they used AI in their production. So let's go through and see how some of them did and what they might have meant for these broader perception issues. Let's follow up first on Anthropic, given that we covered it last week. Summarizing my points for those of you who missed that rant, the ads, for those of you who didn't see it, all start with someone using AI to get advice about something that they're trying to achieve or something that they're trying to do, which starts benign enough, but eventually turns into a sales pitch for some product. The tagline, at least the one that was released last week on social, was "Ads are coming to AI, but not to Claude." This was, of course, a swipe at OpenAI, who had announced that ads were coming to ChatGPT. Like everyone else, I thought that the ads were well done and that they were funny, if you have the proper context. My critiques of them were two-part. First, from an effective advertising perspective, while these killed on social for people who were enfranchised enough to actually know that OpenAI had announced that ads were coming, I thought that they were going to be incredibly confusing for the average person who had no idea. It would be different if for the last 3 months people had been complaining about ads in ChatGPT, but that's just not the case. Which led to my second complaint. Because people wouldn't have that context, it felt to me like the vast majority of people who did enjoy this were going to be those who interpreted it as a critique of AI in general. Think about what the ad says if you don't know that it's trying to go after ChatGPT. It's people with genuine concerns and challenges in their life, vulnerably turning to AI, only for it to turn around and try to sell you something. The point it's making then, at least to that perception, reinforces the idea that AI is just the latest thing from tech billionaires to separate you from your money and time. So how did they land? The short answer is not that well. From Adweek, early audience response suggests the message struggled to land. According to an iSpot survey of 500 viewers, the ad's likability score placed it in the bottom 3% compared with Super Bowl ads over the past 5 years. Its top 2 box purchase intent scored 24% below Super Bowl norms and 19% below ads in its category that aired over the last 90 days. Viewers most commonly described their reactions as WTF, signaling confusion around both the message and the execution. So there you have it. Likability in the bottom 3% compared with Super Bowl ads over the last 5 years is not something to be proud of. Now, one cool thing from Claude was that they added live sports scores and stats into the app. Now, this is the type of feature that 100% is not for me, but to the extent that you are trying to turn your chatbot into a portal to connect to the rest of the internet, this for some users could be really valuable. Rob Haysfield said, "Wait, why didn't Anthropic put this in their Super Bowl ad?" Tech publication TBPN tried to have some fun with it, running a spoof where they offered Claude with ads. Now, we also talked last week about how OpenAI had bit back pretty hard on social, calling Anthropic's ad all sorts of dishonest, but they hadn't yet revealed their Super Bowl ad. The tagline of this ad was "You can just build things." The ad focuses on the hands of the subject and has a bunch of smash cuts to short vignettes of people doing stuff, making a marble track, building electronics, answering in class, installing Linux, creating a pigment for painting, playing chess, working on robotics. Getting their Apple on, they flash through luminary geniuses like Alan Turing, Grace Hopper, and Albert Einstein. The ad was not just Codex coded, it was Codex branded. OpenAI CMO Kate Rausch wrote, "We're living through a time when people can build things that were previously out of reach. The message is around participation, agency, and leaning in to use these tools to do things you just couldn't before." Reinforcing the reframe that we've been living through and documenting on this show, she added, "Now AI is not only answering your questions, but is going to do things on your behalf." Rausch described Codex as a sign of material change underway in the industry. Now, the funny thing is, I think that if you had shown AI people this ad a couple of months ago without the ending, a majority of them would have bet it was for Claude Code rather than for Codex. But that's not where it landed, and so the question is, how did people receive it? Ad Age basically said it was OpenAI trying to position ChatGPT as the Kleenex of AI. In other words, ChatGPT just being synonymous with AI, so taking advantage of the brand positioning they already had to make kind of a more highfalutin ad. Generally, the response I saw to it was fairly positive, if benign. I saw it on some lists as the top ranked of the AI ads, although I think the highest placement I saw was maybe the New York Times list had it at 17th best out of the total 66. For others, it was fine but forgettable, but ultimately a positive vision of the future. Now, one crazy wrinkle on everything was that after the ad came out, this post popped up on Reddit that was purportedly from a disaffected OpenAI staffer who said that this ad was actually a last-minute replacement for an ad that would have teased OpenAI's device. At first, they showed just a screenshot of what looked like Alexander Skarsgård looking at a weird tabular thing, and then a few minutes later, an entire 30-second ad appeared. It indeed appeared to be Alexander Skarsgård with some weird chrome ear things, pressing a shiny chrome device and looking confusedly at it. Reddit founder Alexis Ohanian said, "The ad is beautiful, they should have run this one." But apparently it was all just an elaborate hoax. The Verge writes, "Whoever was behind this hoax had been working on it for some time and approached spreading their story on multiple fronts. Analyst Max Weinbach got messages about it a couple of weeks ago, and Ad Age reporter Jillian Follett wrote, 'A fake headline is circulating on X that falsely claims to be my reporting. I did not write that story, and neither I nor Ad Age has published a piece saying OpenAI changed its Super Bowl ad.' OpenAI CMO Kate Rausch again responded, 'Fake headline and entire fake website claiming we changed our Super Bowl ad at the last minute. Someone going to a lot of trouble.' Honestly, I do not know what to make of this one, and what the incentive for someone to create this entire ad and backing campaign was. Maybe we'll learn over time, but for now, just a weird wrinkle in this overall story." Moving on, Microsoft and Meta both tried to tailor their AI pitch to the sports crowd. Microsoft's ad actually wasn't specifically produced for the Super Bowl, but was part of a larger campaign around Copilot, and it's an ad all about how Copilot helped NFL teams and players make better decisions through its ability to process lots of data. Fairly unremarkable, but at least on brand with the setting. Meta's ad focused on the Oakley version of their smart glasses. It opens on Marshawn Lynch asking the AI to play his Beast Mode playlist, then progresses through a series of users making other requests of the assistant that included Spike Lee and streamer iShowSpeed. Interestingly, Fortune suggested that this ad wasn't really aimed at the consumer. Kimberly Whitler, an associate professor at the University of Virginia, said, "They're not just communicating to consumers, they're also communicating to investors who watch these ads. They're reinforcing this kind of view that the company is very innovative." I don't know, man. I think that Meta has recognized that although certain parts of their AI strategy haven't gone so well, they are in a unique position when it comes to these wearables, and that there's a lot of use cases for AI glasses, like the ones they show here, where the glasses just do things for you as you're living your life at high speed, that might appeal to regular people. I think the ad does a good job playing to Meta's strengths in this area and fitting in with the larger Super Bowl vibe. Now, the AI ad that had the most acclaim was the ad from Google focusing on Gemini. In it, it shows a mom and a son getting excited about their new house. They're taking images of the raw potential and imagining what it could be in the future thanks to the help of Gemini. Google is historically one of the few Super Bowl advertisers that's actually daring enough to try to move out of the tried and true patterns of funny to pull on the heartstrings, and they've gotten pretty good at it. It's a sweet ad, and I guarantee that if you're a parent, it would have made you feel something. Because the point is it's not really about AI, it's about how AI can be a part of the crazy journey of life. Artificial Nightmares wrote, "Google really killed it with their Super Bowl ad. Clear, concise, human, and it instantly showed you the value of their product and why you need it with a real-world example." Every's Dan Shipper wrote, low-key, Google had the best AI Super Bowl commercial for consumers, actually good at pitching the product and explaining why you might use it. Now, one company that went in the exact opposite direction and decided to play on and simultaneously validate and also normalize and make fun of fears of AI taking over was Amazon's Alexa ad with Chris Hemsworth. In it, Chris Hemsworth comes in to see a new Alexa Plus in his house, only to freak out and describe all the ways that it might try to kill him, which are then, of course, hilariously documented in the rest of the ad. Endred on Twitter writes, honestly, brilliant marketing. Everyone else is trying to sound safe and serious. Amazon just goes, we know what you're thinking. Now, my guess is this one is going to be pretty divisive, with some people not appreciating Amazon making light of a fear that actual people have. But I think running all the way in this opposite direction is actually a strategy with some merits and opened up a lot of really funny territory for them. Now, what's interesting is that it wasn't just the big guys running ads as well. GenSpark apparently decided around Christmas to do an ad, and their agency put it together, of course with the help of AI, in just 5 weeks. The ad featured historic slacker Matthew Broderick, subtly making a nod to his Ferris Bueller character, walking through an office and explaining how GenSpark could give everyone the day off. It makes slides, it does some Excel work, with the idea to make clear AI's time-saving benefits. I saw a couple reputable lists think it was the most effective of the AI ads, but there were also a lot of people who felt like Stephen Breach on Twitter who wrote, this is pretty much telling our employers they don't need us anymore, question mark, question mark, question mark. The GenSpark social account responded saying, get the concern, but it's actually the opposite. AI doesn't replace us, it handles the grunt work so we can focus on the creative, strategic stuff that actually matters. Even better, it gives us time to build something of our own. That's the future we're excited about. Stephen, for his part, wasn't buying it, saying, this sounds like the AI response. Now, vibe coding tool Base44, now a part of Wix, came at the same theme of you can just build stuff that OpenAI did, but in a much more direct way. In their ad, they show people in an office discovering delightedly that they can build apps that weren't possible before. For my money, this was easily the most underrated of the AI ads. First of all, unlike the GenSpark ad, it's not showing AI doing people's core work, it's showing how they can have new capabilities that weren't possible before. In that way, it's inherently empowering. Second, the ad is just straight funny. The stuff that they build creates a lot of room for humor. The tagline, it's app to you, lands, and I just think it was an actually good spot. Now we're getting along, but there are just 2 more that we need to talk about. The first is from Svedka, who proudly declared that they had made the first fully AI-generated Super Bowl ad ever, and people were not super impressed, to put it mildly. The ad features, honestly, the only way to put it is horror movie robots, chugging Svedka, dancing at a rave, with the tagline, shake your bots off. AI filmmaker PJ Ace wrote, I would not be proud of this, lol. In fairness, we're talking about it, but God, it sucks. That I think is fairly consensus view, so I'll just move on to our last spot, which is from AI.com. Now, AI.com didn't exist until very recently. The origin story is that the founder of Crypto.com spent $70 million to buy the domain, making it, I believe, the most expensive domain purchase of all time. The ad sent people to AI.com to claim their handle and launch their own AI assistant, which enough people did that it crashed their website. This was the icing on the bubble cake. Michael Podluski writes, crypto guys, no AI background, buy AI.com for $70 million, burn $10 million on a Super Bowl ad, slogan accelerating the arrival of AGI, ask you for a credit card right away just to claim a handle, website looks like a cheap vibe-coded mess, crashes instantly with a 504 gateway timeout. This looks like the absolute peak of the AI bubble. And fine may be so, but the part that I most took notice of was this line. Turns out it's just a thin OpenClaw wrapper. And indeed, founder and CEO Chris on Twitter, in his post, AI.com is now live in beta, writes AI.com is the world's first easy-to-use and secure implementation of OpenClaw, the open source agent framework that went viral 2 weeks ago. We made it easy to use without any technical skills while hardening security to keep your data safe. Even in a world that moves fast, the fact that OpenClaw went from non-existent to part of a Super Bowl ad in 3 weeks has got to be some kind of record. So ultimately, could these Super Bowl ads make Americans love something they don't like? Honestly, I'm not really sure. There were highlights and lowlights, but I guess overall it could have been a lot worse. So maybe we'll call that a win. For now, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening or watching as always. And until next time, peace.